You can eat what's good to you and good for you, too.
Yes.
Get the Dash for Southern Soul Cookbook free. All you have to do is ask. It's packed with delicious Southern-style recipes with a healthy twist.
Yummy.
You won't be able to taste the difference, but you will be able to feel the difference.
Yeah.
Inbox your email address to the In It Together or TaylorMade Productions Facebook page, and you'll get it straight to your mailbox. The Dash for Southern Style Cookbook and a Coping with COVID face mask. From In It Together SC, the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, and Coping with COVID.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Coping with COVID and In It Together present Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina and DHEC's Division of Diabetes and Heart Disease Management.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Hey there, it's Wellness Wednesday, and every Wednesday is brought to you by In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor, and today we are going to talk about Sickle Cell Awareness. It's Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and we're highlighting two organizations offering resources, assistance, and doing some amazing outreach work for sickle cell. Yvonne Donald and Hilton Cooper are both with the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation, and thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today. They're together, and that's why they're masked up.
Exactly.
And also a mom who actually turned into an advocate for sickle cell and works at American Red Cross. Vesha Jamison also joins us. Vesha, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We're excited about talking to all three of you. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. We'll be right back with Vesha, Hilton, and Yvonne. But first, your COVID community updates. More South Carolina cities have reissued their mask ordinances. Richland County has actually passed a privately funded mask ordinance requiring masks in public places and schools for anyone over the age of 10 and those who do not have a medical condition. Now, the city of Columbia had already passed theirs last week. The ordinance is also in place in Casey, West Columbia, and also Forest Acres. Fort Jackson is banning personnel from visiting certain places in the Midlands, according to a social media post from the provost marshal who oversees the Army location. 7 locations are off limits. That includes bars and several apartment complexes. Now, no specific reason for the ban has been mentioned, but the post does indicate each have had multiple incidents of violence and shooting. And it's a third term for Michael Butler. The Orangeburg mayor won the election against Paige Waymer 613 to 238. Butler is the first African-American mayor of Orangeburg and was first elected in 2013. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and location for COVID testing in and around South Carolina. Visit scdhec.gov for more information. Also, COVID vaccinations are being handled by the VA for all veterans. Check the screen for details about COVID vaccinations if you are a veteran. Also, CVS and Kroger pharmacies are also offering COVID vaccinations. Several of those locations, once again, are offering COVID vaccinations. And again, that information is on the screen. Don't miss your shot. Don't forget to, you can get free rides to get your COVID vaccination at the Comet bus system. Catch the Comet and get your COVID vaccination. Online registration is set up for anyone that needs help. Courtesy of Get Set Up. You can visit Get Set Up for more information about COVID vaccinations. Also, FEMA is offering COVID funeral reimbursement. If you have lost someone with because of COVID, please log on to the FEMA website for more information. The SC Bar Association is also offering legal assistance through a toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. And Richland County is offering rental assistance at richlandcountysc.gov. You can see that information on the screen. Lexington County also has a bill assistance program, and Dominion Energy has partnered with SC Housing for a bill assistance and rent and also utilities. SC Housing also is offering folks who are frontline workers with home buying assistance, and SC Hopes has been launched by the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. If you or someone you know is having some challenges coping with COVID, please contact the folks at SC Help. There are several job openings available. Richland School District 1 is offering a job fair for bus drivers. Those bus drivers and also some of the teachers that they need also have a $500 bonus and also a $1,000 signing bonus. So make sure you log on to the Richland 1 website for more information. Coping with COVID is brought to you by In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina. Listen, we are streaming live on the In It Together Facebook page. Please go over there and hit like and share and follow. And not only can you get great resources on the In It Together Facebook page and on the In It Together website, but you can also see Coping with COVID live because we are streaming live on the In It Together Facebook page. We're also streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. Please go over there and once again, hit like and share and follow. We're also streaming live on YouTube. I want to say hi to all of you YouTubers. Thank you so much for joining us. And we also have a presence on Instagram. I'm Tre Tailor, and once again, you're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. We're brought to you by In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina. Well, it's Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and over 1,000 people in the United States have the disease that, of course, as you may or may not know, primarily affects people of African American descent. Now, we're talking to two organizations today that have worked on efforts to educate, empower, and provide resources for years. Yvonne Donald is Deputy Director of James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation, and she's also joined by Hilton Cooper, who is a care coordinator. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you today.
Thanks for having us, Tre.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to remind everyone to please post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses because, Yvonne, as the stats say, 100,000 people in the United States have sickle cell disease. What are the numbers in South Carolina?
It's about 4,000.
4,000.
Right. And while that might not sound like a large number, sickle cell is actually designated as categorized, I would say, as a rare disease. But believe me, the impact that it has on the individuals and the families, the children who live with this daily, is felt, and the impact of this disease, it can be dire, it can be very serious. It's a disease wherein the hallmark of the disease is pain, and it can affect the entire family, which I'm sure Ms. Vesha will speak about a little later on. But it is a disease that if one of your children have it, if you have it as an adult or as an individual, it directly affects your well-being. It can affect your the psychology of how you look at things, how you're affected. It affects how you live your life daily, and there are challenges that you must meet on a daily basis. And sickle cell disease can affect any race, any culture, from any creed. It affects primarily African Americans, but can also affect Hispanics and any race of culture.
Right. And I was going to mention that it does primarily affect people of African American descent. Do we know why that is?
Because of the origination. It originated along the equatorial, we call them equatorial regions, actually where malaria was rampant.
Oh, wow.
In those areas, those places that are hot, surrounded by lots of water, mosquitoes carry malaria. And in those areas where there were large migrations of mosquitoes and malaria was rampant, were big and large outbreaks of malaria. And that is when the body tried to preserve those individuals. And there was an evolutionary origin of sickle cell trait, where people began to be born with hardened cells to prevent the malaria parasite from invading the bloodstream.
Wow, we're talking to Yvonne Donald. She is Deputy Director with the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. Hilton Cooper, who is a care coordinator, also joins us. So, how are you diagnosed? You're diagnosed at birth. Do they still give those tests to every child now?
Every child that's born, regardless of your race, is tested at birth for sickle cell trait and sickle cell disease, which is truly a blessing because it gives that parent a fighting chance to start off with the necessary medications to help that child in those early infancy years, wherein they could be affected and their immune system is um, could be affected easily,
Right,
and
right.
is at peril. So it's very important for that testing that those parents know at birth that that child has been diagnosed with sickle cell disease. And generally, one of the main medications they begin with is they start off with penicillin to
Oh,
help
wow.
that child ward off infections at a very age throughout their infancy. And those symptoms generally don't start to about 6 months of age when that fetal hemoglobin begins to transfer to adult hemoglobin.
Mm, mm. Now, what are some of the symptoms of a sickle cell?
Oh my God, there's so many. Trey, like I said, the primary one is pain. But for little babies, they start off with the swelling of the feet. We call it hand and foot syndrome. But sickle cell can affect the spleen. It can affect the kidney. It can affect the lungs, the back. People who get pain in the back. Anywhere blood flows,
Wow.
there can be pain. And
Right.
anywhere blood flows, of course, can affect any organ.
Right.
So therefore, anywhere blood flows, sickle cell disease can affect. But oftentimes the kidneys, the joints, many of our patients end up having to have joint replacement because of how sickle cell disease processes it. It actually prevents the flow of red blood, of that needed red blood, because those cells are sickle shaped.
Right.
And as they try to travel through those tiny areas, those veins, it gets trapped.
Yeah.
Therefore, cutting off the circulation of vital blood and oxygen. And of course, affecting any organ, any tissue, any cell that surrounds it.
Yeah, I want to ask two more questions before we go to, some of the resources you guys offer. One, I want to know, you mentioned, obviously the cell is actually sickle. So it, as you said, it has a hard time traveling through the vein. Why then is a blood transfusion needed? I mean, because it's not like the blood's not there. The blood's there. It's just having a hard time traveling.
Right, because sometimes the blood can get so so trapped in those veins and throughout the body that the only thing that could help that individual is for the removal of that blood and for that
Oh,
person to be given a whole blood transfusion
yeah.
to move that crisis along, because those blood infarctions, they can take place throughout the body, and
Mhm.
sometimes they're in multiple parts of the body.
Right.
And when it gets to that extent, there are times when the only thing that can help that person at that time is a complete and total blood transfusion. And that's
Wow.
why donating blood, especially in the African American community, is so vital, because we have antigens and antibodies that can directly assist those with sickle cell. I myself am a rare blood donor. I
Mm.
try to give blood every 60 days. And I would like to encourage anyone, and I know Vesha will be coming on with that later, pushing that, but it's very important to give blood. That's a vital aspect of the treatment of sickle cell disease.
Yeah, we had some ladies from the Midlands Nurses Association on, and because they recently had a blood drive specifically
Mhm.
for people to donate for sickle cell. And they mentioned that too, that it is so important for African Americans to donate, particularly because it helps not only other African Americans, but African Americans with sickle cell disease. And I don't think, we got a lot of, feedback saying they didn't realize that it mattered, that your race mattered as far as blood donations are concerned.
Oh, it does matter. It does matter. And through the years, we've often tried to push diversifying the donation of our blood, because it's vital and very important to those with sickle cell disease.
Yvonne Donald joins us. She's a deputy director with the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. One more thing I want to ask Yvonne before we go to Hilton and talk about some of the resources you guys offer and those that are needed. After a child is diagnosed as an infant, how soon do they start experiencing the symptoms of sickle cell disease?
At about 6 months.
Oh, wow.
At about 6 months of age. It's when that fetal hemoglobin that's protected that child in the womb and protects that child for about 6 months after birth. That fetal hemoglobin, that special hemoglobin that helps that child thrive in the womb, begins to transfer to regular adult hemoglobin at about 6 months. And that's when the symptoms begin. And our mothers have a time because they have a child that's crying and racked with pain, and then the child can't talk or the child can't speak.
Right.
And so that makes it especially difficult for a new mother. And often new mothers are very frightened when they get the diagnosis of sickle cell disease. And that's why it's very important that they have a lot of support.
Yeah.
And a really good physician that specializes in the treatment of sickle cell disease.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, at 6 months, the child can't really communicate with you. They're crying. You don't know if it's croup or teething or the wet diaper or what's going on,
Well, some signs are evident. Like I said, the foot and hand syndrome, where their little feet just swell up profusely, and their little hands swell up. And that is evident of a crisis. And then there's the temperature. Any spike in a temperature, a new mother has to pay close attention, because any spike in a temperature can indicate an infection or that something is going wrong. But certainly a baby that's crying continuously can be an indication of a crisis.
In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor, and it's Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and we're talking to Yvonne Donald of the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation, Hilton Cooper, who is a care coordinator at James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. Hilton, let me ask you, what are some of the resources that are offered from James R. Clark and needed? I'm going to bring up your website as you're talking.
Yes. Hello, thank you for having us again. I'd like to briefly just talk about our Project LEAP that we had. Our Project LEAP, we received funding from HRSA. And the Project LEAP, the acronym stands for Locate, Educate, Access, and Place. Our goals for Project LEAP, well, first, it's an outreach initiative of the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. This program is designed to locate patients and provide them with the necessary resources and support to live successfully with sickle cell disease. Our goals in the program is to identify and provide care coordination and education about their medicine and just ways of healthy living. We try to connect our patients who do not have a medical home with a primary care physician or a specialist. Then we try to empower, or our goal is to empower patients by linking them with resources and support services to be effective so that they can have self-advocate of their own health. We assist emerging adults in the transition from pediatrics to adult-focused health care. We provide patients and healthcare professionals education regarding the use of hydroxyurea to increase the number of patients receiving this treatment. And we try to increase the number statewide of partners on all levels with hospitals, health systems, medical, educational, faith-based government, and community organizations. And we have specialized services that we provide. And I'll let our executive deputy director kind of list those out for you.
Okay, Yvonne.
Yeah, we do nurse case management, Trey, and we have nurses who actually go into the home where they've been somewhat restricted due to COVID, but they actually go into the home and help our patients with their treatment plan, and also help them one-on-one when they're in need of local resources or have a special situation or extenuating situation where they actually need help. We also help with energy assistance. We have an energy assistance program where if our patients get into a bind and they can't pay their light bill or their water bill, or they have an extenuating circumstance, that we have funds that are available to assist them. We have programs throughout the year. We just had our drive-through back to school event back here in August. And as soon as Sickle Cell Disease Awareness Month is over, we'll be kicking into gear to have our giving tree. And we want to thank Prisma Health for being a wonderful sponsor over the last several years for our giving tree. And last year we had to cancel due to COVID, but we figured out a way to do it this year that will keep everyone safe, keep our parents and families safe, and our staff as well. So we're looking forward to that.
Great. Now, so there are several resources available. Now, how do people access these resources, Yvonne?
Well, actually, our nurse case managers play a vital role in helping them to access those resources. And actually, we work one-on-one with patients on a daily basis when they're in need. And I also want to mention our Sickle Cell Infusion Center, which is a facility that's designed to help our patients stay out of the ER. So they can actually go to the Prisma Health Sickle Cell Infusion Center. They can get antibiotics, they can get fluids, they can get pain meds, and it actually helps deter a visit from the ER where they would have to sit waiting in the ER in pain before being seen. Especially with COVID, this is very vital and important because, of course, we're trying to cut down on contacts as much as we can. And a person who has sickle cell disease already has a compromised immune system.
Right.
And so they have to be especially careful during this time of COVID and during this atmosphere where we have to be so careful with our contacts and trying to make sure that we keep ourselves safe.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that, you guys are specifically really meeting the needs of various needs, from financial to even getting, the blood that sickle cell patients need, just so very diverse. One of the things I know that a lot of people may know about is your sickle cell walk. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. We just finished our virtual walk and we had to cancel last year because of COVID. But I tell you, this year, it was just really wonderful. We actually had our winning team, Daniels and Daniels, raised close to $1,500.
Wow.
And they planned a special celebration in their neighborhood. And it actually turned out to be such a wonderful event. It was unexpectedly wonderful, believe it or not, and has given us an idea next year. Hopefully we won't be in the era of COVID, but to suggest maybe have a neighborhood waltz. But it really turned out wonderful. I went there expecting about 10, maybe 15 or 20 people. And it was just wonderful. She had a good many of her neighbors came out to walk. They contacted our partners at Benedict. And of course, Johnny Green was our walk ambassador. And Trey, you know personally that Johnny has been with us since day one of the Sickle Cell Walk.
Yes.
And, yes, so that was a picture of me giving her the Distinguished Volunteer Award for raising almost $1,500. And let me say, please, that both of the Daniels and Daniels team, they are both sickle cell warriors.
Wow.
Both of them have sickle cell disease. They're mother-son sickle cell disease team. And they actually raised those funds and set up that wonderful celebration at their home and invited the neighbors, their church members and friends, and had a neighborhood walk to honor sickle cell disease awareness. It was really, really, really a wonderful day.
Yeah, that's great, Yvonne. And listen, whether we're in COVID or not, I think that would be a great idea, as you said, just to implement that as another, way to walk.
As a hybrid.
Walk in your neighborhood.
Yes, as a hybrid. Because Hilton's Walk this weekend is going to be a hybrid um, event.
Yes. I'd just like to say that the Florence Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated in Florence, South Carolina, every year for the past 8 years have partnered with James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation to have a community walk. It is going to be held this Saturday, September the 18th at the Ebenezer Park in Florence. The address is 842 South Ebenezer Road. All 100% of the proceeds will go towards helping sickle cell patients with their medicine, transportation, and light bills. So all 100% of the funds that are received will go directly to support the patients. Also, Trey, if anyone that's listening today, if you know of any individual living in your community with sickle cell, please have them to get in touch with me here at the foundation to become an active person that will receive our services. The telephone number here, can I give that, Trey?
Please.
803-765-9916. Any patient that's listening or any family member or friend, and if you know someone with the sickle cell disease, please have them to contact me so that we can provide them with our services here at the foundation.
Awesome. And of course, as Hilton said, you can see the information on the screen for the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. They're located right here in Columbia, South Carolina. The number, as Hilton said, 803-765-9916. They also have an 800 number, 800-506-1273. Or, of course, you can log on to the James R. Clark Sickle Cell website. Now, I know that you guys also have a scholarship recipient that you award every year.
We had 3 this year.
Wow.
Trey, we've done 33. We've awarded 33 scholarships, and Trey, we have a 98% graduation rate. We've only had 2 of our patients not complete college. These young people are doing wonderful things.
That's awesome.
One of the scholarship recipients is attending USC. She's working on her master's. Another at Midlands Tech, and then we have a young man who's attending Winthrop. So we're really, really proud of our scholarship recipients, really proud that we have been able to just assist so many in seeking that higher learning and going on to fulfill their dreams and whatever it is that they're inspired to life to do. Because one of the mottos we say is you can have sickle cell disease, but it doesn't have to have you.
I heard that.
Oh, yes. So we believe our young people can do anything they put their minds to do. And of course, I know they have to deal with the challenges of sickle cell disease, but having that heart, that mind, and that inspiration to achieve and to fulfill their goals, we want them to keep that and always keep that in sight.
Yeah. Now, how can people help the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation, who are then helping the folks in South Carolina that have sickle cell disease? What do you need people to do?
Well, we on our website, you can donate. You could actually become a monthly donor, even just $10 a month. You can donate through our website to assist us. You can send in a donation. You can specifically donate to our scholarship fund to help us to continue to be able to help these students with sickle cell disease achieve higher learning. And also, our giving tree is coming up. We would love to have a donation of a toy, unwrapped new toy for a child with sickle cell disease. We are not doing a whole lot of outreach now because of COVID. So I was going to say you could volunteer to help us with some of our outreach activities.
But maybe not.
We're not doing many outreach activities this year because of COVID. So we're limiting our outreach. But we're hoping that by next spring, that will be a different story. We're hoping that sooner or later that this will pass and we can get back.
Yeah.
And Trey, I'd just like to also add that we will accept volunteers to help us locate and identify those individuals living all over the state of South Carolina with the sickle cell disease by just, telling that person to call us so that we can be instrumental in helping them to live healthy with the sickle cell disease.
Yeah, that's great. And you're right. That's a great way to help financially, as Yvonne said, something as little as $10 a month. And also, if you know someone in South Carolina, because James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation, as Hilton says, does help people throughout the state of South Carolina, please let them know. You can see the information on the screen for the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. Hilton and Yvonne, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for all of the great work that you're doing in our state and in our community for folks, the 4,000 plus, as you said, Yvonne, folks living with sickle cell in South Carolina. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Can I just add that we also have satellite offices in Lancaster, Sumter, and Florence.
Awesome. That's great. Lancaster, Sumter, and Florence. Great. Well, coming up, a woman shares her sickle cell story of her son and how she went from parent to advocate and employee of the American Red Cross. Vesha Jamison joins us next on Coping with COVID. It's brought to you by In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina.
Imagine yourself 1 year from now. You've tackled your prediabetes, you're eating well, staying active, and reducing stress. You've even made a few new friends, all because you took charge of your health and lowered your risk of type 2 diabetes. It's possible when you join In It Together SC. You can start by taking our online risk assessment. Find a coach to help you with real-life solutions. This can be you, and it can all start today. Find an online or in-person program. Visit inittogethersc.org to get a healthier head start on your future. Brought to you by the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall, 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Let Palmetto Painting Services take the worry out of your next home painting project. We can paint anything. Our business is about interior painting and exterior painting. We offer services for residential and commercial properties. Restore the life to your home with a fresh coat of paint from Palmetto Painting Services. References are available upon request. Give us a call at 803-546-4570 today.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean, and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
It's always going to be there, and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
How will you remember the year 2020?
COVID.
Losing my job.
Working 12-hour shifts in a mask.
Losing my grandma to COVID.
COVID has claimed thousands in South Carolina and strained our health system, schools, businesses, and families. If you're struggling and need to talk, call SC Hopes. That free call can help put you in touch with people who can help. This goes for healthcare workers, teachers, restaurant employees, parents, anyone and everyone. SC Hopes, mental health and addiction support for challenging times.
You can eat what's good to you and good for you, too.
Yes.
Get the Dash for Southern Soul Cookbook free. All you have to do is ask. It's packed with delicious Southern-style recipes with a healthy twist.
Yummy.
You won't be able to taste the difference, but you will be able to feel the difference.
Yeah.
Inbox your email address to the In It Together or Tailor Made Productions Facebook page, and you'll get it straight to your mailbox. The Dash for Southern-style cookbook and a Coping with COVID face mask. From In It Together SC, the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, and Coping with COVID.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Thank you so much for joining us once again for Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's Wednesday. That means Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, don't forget that we are streaming live on the In It Together Facebook page. Please go over there and hit like and follow and share, because they have got so many amazing resources on their Facebook page and, of course, on their website. We're also streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. Please hit like and share and follow over there also, so that not only you can watch Coping with COVID Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday live at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but you can also catch up on all of your COVID-related updates. Got a lot of great resources over there. I want to thank everyone for joining us on YouTube, where we're streaming live, and we also have a presence on Instagram. Don't forget that you can post and share this information out, because we want to get this message to the masses. One last thing I want to tell you about. Streaming, scrolling on the bottom of the screen are several resources that are available health-wise, COVID vaccination locations throughout the state of South Carolina, and also financial resources that you might need if you are having a challenge coping with COVID. We're talking now about Sickle Cell Awareness. It's Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and we've been talking about organizations in the community that are available to help advocate and provide resources. Vesha Jamison joins us. She is with the American Red Cross, but she actually started that job because she wanted to advocate for her son with sickle cell. Vesha, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Trey.
Absolutely. Tell us what happened. Tell us about Draylon, is your son.
Draylon is an awesome and amazing young man. He is 11 years old and diagnosed at just about 4 weeks old with sickle cell disease. And he is just super awesome, super resilient, and he is a trooper. And I actually began this journey because of him.
Right. So tell us what happened. We're sharing the story now of what happened when you obviously, you had Draylon, you found out he had sickle cell. So what made you want to go from just mom to advocate to employee of organizations that actually help advocate for sickle cell patients?
Well, Trey, going from mom to advocate is kind of one role, all in one, wrapped in one.
Yeah.
Because when he's a baby, he doesn't have a voice. Right. He's young, so I have to be his voice. Yeah. So, the feelings that I had after receiving the news that my son actually had sickle cell disease were those of kind of guilt in the beginning. I felt as though I had given him the worst part of me. Yeah. And then not being fully educated and knowledgeable on what that entailed, it was kind of a hard hit. So over the course of time, dealing with the things that he went through, hospital visits and things like that early on, I realized that there were other moms who were just like me. So because I was the voice of my son, not only in his instance being a baby, I was a voice for those other moms who had those same feelings that I did in the beginning. Yeah. So that's the transition from mom, or I wouldn't say transition, but kind of mom to advocate, because after I began to share my story just with other people and then publicly, I got word from other moms that were afraid to share, right, or that were embarrassed to share. And it inspired them to not only be able to talk about it, but also to research more, to learn more about the disease and how they could help their child. So we began to form a network.
Wow. So you guys formed, I guess it would be called a parent support group.
Yes.
Yeah. A parent
advocacy group. And it is just a network of us to get together. And some days you just want to vent. Not every day is an education day. Not every day is what's going on in the world of sickle cell type day. Some days you just want to vent. Some days you just need a shoulder to cry on. Yeah. Some days when it gets overwhelming, you might just need a mom to come over and bring you a hot meal. Yeah. So these are all things that sometimes we think are small gestures, but they can mean so much when you're the caregiver of a child with sickle cell disease or any chronic illness for that matter.
Yeah, I just love that. I love this story because, and I say this a lot, there's one thing to have an issue, and we all got something with us, you know what I mean? But it's a whole nother level to recognize I can use my experience and my voice and my energy to help somebody else with the same situation. That's a whole nother level of parenthood, girl. You know what I mean? And so I applaud you for doing that, because you're not only, obviously you're helping, but you're taking on somebody else's stuff too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's the quote? We must be the change that we want to see.
Yes.
So, there's nothing more powerful than coming across someone and not only educating them, but also being relatable.
Yeah.
Being able to feel that, that whatever it is that they're going through, you can actually feel it, because sometimes it is tough and you feel that no one else understands what you're going through. So that's very powerful.
Yeah, Vesha Jamison joins us. She is an account manager with the American Red Cross, and she is a sickle cell mom of Draylon. How old is he now?
11.
11-year-old Draylon. Yes. So why American Red Cross?
Wow. Well, number one, this role is very unique, and it is special because they launched this initiative to grow the number of donors amongst the Black and African American communities, but it's to help patients with sickle cell disease. So this not only increases, what we have access to, but it also helps to improve the health outcomes of those who live with this disease.
Yeah.
So some of our patients with sickle cell, over their lifespan, they'll have thousands of transfusions. Some of them have so many monthly.
Yeah.
So we need to increase that that blood supply so that they can have what they need readily available. So that was one of the things that drew me to the position, and also being able to, again, be relatable.
Right.
African Americans, we only make up about 4% of blood donors.
Right.
So being relatable, not just to those who have sickle cell disease, but also in those African American communities.
Right. People of color, yeah.
People of color, to say, hey, this is what we need and this is why we need it.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, as a donor, as a mom of a child who receives these donations, this is why it's important. And, just to put aside all of the stigmas, all the stereotypes, all of the fear of, anything that's out there, let's just put that aside and think about the bigger picture here. Today it's my son, but tomorrow it could be your family member.
Exactly.
We don't always think about it in that sense, but you have people who have other diseases. You have cancer patients, you have people who are in traumatic accidents who need blood transfusions.
Yeah.
So let's think about that if it were your family member who couldn't have access to the blood that they needed in their most critical moments.
Absolutely. Vesha Jamison is with the American Red Cross. So that is what your position is, Vesha, right? Going out and kind of, I guess, educating the public about blood donation and encouraging Black and brown people to be donors.
Yes, ma'am. I am titled the Sickle Cell Account Manager, and I actually don't have a specific territory. I go all over South Carolina. So in that initiative, like I said, it's focused on sickle cell disease. So in that initiative, my role is to get out into these communities to show the importance of blood donation, as well as educating and spreading the awareness about sickle cell disease, what it is, and how it affects those in our communities.
Yeah, this is Vesha Jamison with the American Red Cross. And as you heard, she goes out and, tries to encourage people to give blood, particularly people that are Black and brown. Now, you were very familiar to, we were talking to Yvonne and Hilton with James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation, and we're going to bring them back in just for a couple of minutes, Yvonne and Hilton, because your son was a poster child for James R. Clark for several years, correct?
Yes, he was. Draylon served as the poster child for the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. When we first moved here to Columbia, I got connected with Miss Yvonne, and she has just been phenomenal. And I started as a volunteer, literally volunteering because I wanted to help spread that awareness. So, I hosted some fundraisers and different things, volunteered with the walk during the Giving Tree, all of these things for several years before we became intertwined, more closely knit. And Draylon was actually the poster child for a few years now.
Yeah. So is it important, Yvonne, do you think that people and parents, and I don't know how, that have children or someone in their family that have sickle cell to be involved in the process?
Yes, because it kind of gives them a village or a place that they can belong.
Yeah.
I was speaking earlier about the Giving Tree. If you could see the look on those children's faces when they would walk in to our office or wherever that event was being held, see those toys and know that they could pick out any toy they wanted. And the good thing, it's just something specially designated for them.
Yeah.
And it's those special things like Camp Burnt Gin that we partner with Dr. Carla Robbins and her staff at Prisma Health. That's a week that's just designated for a child with sickle cell disease. When they're in these spaces, they could just be themselves. They don't have to worry about, like Vesha was saying, that stigma. Because sometimes they feel the sting of that stigma at an early age.
Yeah.
And it's very unfair. They don't always understand. They don't understand. They don't understand the ins and outs of sickle cell disease. They just know that they're sick and they don't feel good.
Right. Right.
But this is a special space that they could they're around other children with sickle cell, other parents. And so that's one of the reasons why these type events, the Giving Tree, the Back to School, Camp Burnt Gin, that's why they're so important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Yvonne Donald with the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. Vesha Jamison also joins us with the American Red Cross. So, Vesha, with the parent advocacy group that you launched and now, is over at American Red Cross, what do parents need?
Oh, my goodness. Never underestimate the power of an encouraging word. Parents need a number of things on a day-to-day basis. And organizations, of course, like James R. Clark, are pillars in the community to help with those things. But as far as with that advocacy, we need support. And support is not always financial. That is my biggest thing.
Right.
It's not, and sometimes that's far from the type of support that we need. We need those hugs sometimes. And Lord, COVID has been a struggle because I'm a hugger. A phone call, just certain things, like I said, to know that there are other people there and that support them. And one of those things, even at the Red Cross, one of the most important things that you can do to support a parent is to actually be a blood donor.
Right.
We've sat in the hospital and, in my mind, just think, even though we don't know who this person was, but to see that unit of blood there, we can say mentally, thank you, donor number, 225.
Right. Yeah.
Found it not robbery to take some time out of their day to be able to give. So there's a number of things that we need, but the most crucial things, like I said, don't ever think anything is too small.
What about the kids? What do you think the children need?
They need a village. They need a village. And I have another mom who, we met years ago through James R. Clark, and we talk often, but she talks about, another advocate that she was in touch with that says that we have a team. We're the managers of that team, and our child is the star player. Mm-hmm. So our children need a village. They need that team. You need a medical team. You need an educational team. You need, of course, your family team.
Right.
In addition to your mental health team. You have friends, of course, that are going to be supportive, throughout the years. But these children need to be surrounded by a village of people who love and care for them. And simply, like I said, small gestures, small things like, giving blood or, giving toys to the giving tree, that just lights up their world. Having school supplies, adequate school supplies to go back to school with. They need love. They need hugs. This is such a difficult thing for them. And we can all imagine what we go through as adults. So can you imagine adding to that, as a child?
Yeah. We're looking at the Red Cross Sickle Cell Awareness page. They actually have a specific page for sickle cell. It's redcrossblood.org. Donate blood to diversity. It's their diversity website, and you can see the information on the screen where you can get more information. So, just like I asked Yvonne, what can people do? What do you need specifically for the public to do as it pertains to sickle cell? Is it more than just give blood?
More than just give blood. Become aware. That's a great thing. And I would say that's probably one of the most important things. Educate yourself on what sickle cell disease is, what sickle cell trait is, how it's inherited, and spread the word. Once you educate yourself, educate someone else. What's the saying? Each one, reach one, teach one.
Yeah.
So that is a main thing. And that's why I'm so proud of this initiative from the Red Cross, because it allows us to educate, number one, before we ask. So we want to know the why behind the whole initiative.
Right.
So educate yourselves, know what it is, and that helps us as well. It doesn't determine whether or not, we continue to bear children. But it's good to know these things on the front end so you can be proactive versus reactive.
Yeah.
So knowing your own individual trait status is so important.
Yeah, we're talking to Vesha Jamison. She's an account manager with the American Red Cross. You can see the information on the screen about the American Red Cross. They've got a Facebook group and also Twitter, and they also have the parent advocacy group that Vesha launched and took over to the American Red Cross. So if you or someone you know need the support system of other parents, moms and dads, and children that have sickle cell disease, please look at the information and post and share this information out. That's the important thing. I think that, as I think Ms. Hilton said earlier, that we get the information to the people who really need it. You may know someone in your neighborhood. There may be someone in your family that has sickle cell or that is having some challenges, whatever those challenges are, financial, physical, emotional. There is support for them. There is advocacy for them. This is a situation they do not have to deal with alone. Between the American Red Cross and the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation and several other organizations in and around the state and around the country, there is help for people. I want to play this video that is on your website about one young man's journey with sickle cell, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit about how Draylen's doing. If we can get it up. Oh, there he is.
I've been in the hospital since I was 2 with sickle cell, but the ones I can remember clearly is like 6, 7, and up. Sometimes my blood would clot and it'll make like pain in my joints and sometimes hard to breathe, hard to move. It's just pain that you can never see.
It's a constant fear with my 2 sons who are still here that at any time they could actually succumb to this disease. It still kills people.
I had an elder brother who had sickle cell, and eventually he passed the sickle cell. So I just thought, oh man, I might die by this disease because he did. In my family, we're all game oriented, so I know I can't really do that much in real life, but I excel in like video games and board games and stuff like that. So that's how I kind of cope with it. When I'm in the hospital and I don't have blood because my blood's sickling, I just feel miserable. I don't want to move. I like curl up in a ball And that's how a sickle cell crisis feels to me. It feels like something was broke inside my body. The only thing that can fix it is blood. We need as many people who can to donate blood. That's the only thing that helps a person with sickle cell in a pain crisis. Blood transfusions, they make such a difference. The blood is really what gets me to calm down and get back to normal.
So it's definitely important that the Black community, African American community, that we do come out and answer the call, because we the ones who need this. We're the ones who suffer from sickle cell the most.
It's a gift. Honestly, blood is a gift.
Wow. I'm sure you can relate to that story, Vesha.
I can, and it makes me a little emotional, just thinking about it, just hearing that, because literally, I mean, to see the transformation, the pain crises are so severe at times, and I've seen my son just almost lifeless, and having that blood transfusion just brought him back.
Yeah.
So I know the importance of it. And like I said, I get emotional. I get chills every time I hear other stories that are similar, because I can definitely relate to that.
How is Draylon doing now?
He's
got a beautiful smile.
Yes. I like to think he gets his good looks from me.
I'll go with that.
He is doing well. It's been a challenging year with COVID and everything going on. He had surgery last year, and one of the factors that kind of cause crises are some of the factors, stress, dehydration, sudden life changes. So we had a number of those things go on during COVID, but not only that, he's getting older. So his body is changing. What his doctor refers to as pre-puberty, is upon us, which his mom does not like. But I digress. He's supposed to be my baby.
Yeah.
But, all of these factors combined in one, we had a very challenging year. And then now that they're back in school, of course, my anxiety is on 5,000 because, we're dealing with the rising numbers, and he already has a compromised immune system. Yeah. So these are some of the worries that we have. But overall, he's doing very well. The importance of that team, I met with his teachers this week, and they all talked about how well he does, how involved he is, how he pushes through. So when I say that he's a fighter, he is indeed a fighter.
Yeah.
And he does very well. He's so resilient. And there are days that he encourages me.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. This is Vesha Jamison. She's the account manager for the American Red Cross. If you want more information, you can see her information there on the screen. The information on the parent advocacy group for the American Red Cross for those with sickle cell is also on the screen. And then, of course, the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation folks, Yvonne Donald and Ms. Hilton Cooper, are both there for more information on the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. Again, you can see their information also on the screen. Ladies, listen, thank you so much for all that you do, the three of you, and all of your organizations that really kind of help and advocate and getting in there. And Vesha, you're living it day by day. You too, Yvonne, for that matter. You guys are living it every single day and still have enough strength and energy and perseverance to help someone else do it. So I think that's amazing. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
All right. Vesha Jamison with the American Red Cross, Yvonne Donald and Hilton Cooper with the James R. Clark Sickle Cell Foundation. It's Sickle Cell Awareness Month, so this is a great time to start your donations, start your Christmas shopping for the Giving Tree, and just to start becoming more aware of the needs of folks with sickle cell, because it directly affects Black and brown people more than anyone else. So think about also not only donating your finances and donating your time, but also blood donation is essential. Ladies, thank you again so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. We wish you much love and luck and God blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tre.
Thank you. Thank you for it so much. Listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please go to the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook and inbox us. We would love to feature your story or initiative on coping with COVID. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email coping with, you can see the information on the screen, email coping with tretailor@gmail.com. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor of Coping with COVID, just like SCDHEC, In It Together SC, the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, Palmetto Painting Services, also Agape Counseling and Training Services, Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall, Palmetto Media Connections, and also the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Byron Gibson. They'll be with us next Thursday, the Comet Bus System, and Javis Tax Service. As always, I leave you with our inspirational moment, our reading from Jesus Calling. And today, September 15th, Jesus is asking us to please be in union with him. It says, "Rest in me, my child. Your time devoted to me is meant to be peaceful, not stressful. You don't have to perform in order to receive my love." Jesus says, "I have boundless, unconditional love for you." How it grieves me, Jesus says, to see my children working for love, trying harder and harder, yet never feeling good enough to be loved. Be careful that your devotion to me doesn't become another form of works. Jesus says, "I want you to come into my presence joyfully and confidently. You have nothing to fear because you wear my own righteousness." Jesus says, "Gaze into my eyes and you will see no condemnation, only love and delight in the one I see, and that's you. Be blessed as my face shines radiantly upon you, giving you peace." That's your Jesus Calling for today, Wednesday, September 15th. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you guys again so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. Until the next time, I wish you peace, abundant blessings. Take care. God bless. And don't forget to join us tomorrow when we are going to talk about the natural hair journey. Attorney Wendy Green is the founder of the Crown Act. She has been advocating for years to women who wear their hair naturally to be not only accepted in public, but accepted in the workplace. She's going to join us tomorrow on Coping with COVID. So get all of your natural friends and let's have a natural hair conversation. That's coming up tomorrow on Coping with COVID. Until the next time, once again, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Take good care.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by SCDHEC. Visit scdhec.gov for an updated list of testing and vaccination sites and info to help protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Visit columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, visit Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. The Comet Bus System, a fast, fun, friendly transit system that can take you anywhere you want to go in the Midlands. So don't miss your shot. Catch the Comet and get a free ride to get your COVID vaccine. Visit catchthecomet.gov. Javis Tax Services, South Carolina's premier full-service financial provider with over 20 years of experience. Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. And Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. call. Call Daniel for honest, professional, reliable, and knowledgeable computer sales and service. Coping with COVID from SCDHEC. In it together. The South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities. Agape Counseling and Training Services. The Comet Bus System. Palmetto Media Connections. Javis Financial Services. And Computers Unique.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.